Hey guys, today I will be taking a look at the NPR forecast for the 2020 presidential election that they just updated just a couple days ago. So unlike other forecasts I typically talk about on this channel, the NPR forecast only has three classifications. So they have a likely classification, a lean classification, and a toss-up classification. So for this video, the darkest color is going to be the likely classification for Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and then the lean classification is going to be the lighter color, so a typical likely color that we use on this channel. But in this case, the top two are going to be the likely color, and then these two are going to be lean color, with yellow being a toss-up. So I'm going to fill in the likely states first for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Joe Biden will of course carry all of the West Coast. It's going to be very solid for him, definitely over 20% margins in all three of these states. Colorado and New Mexico are also solid states on this map as well. New Mexico was recently moved into the likely Democratic column from being a lean state just because of stronger polls for Joe Biden out of the state of New Mexico. His numbers do seem to be trending upwards in this state, with the Democrats expected to win the Senate race and presidential race here in the state of New Mexico. The state of Hawaii, of course, is also a likely Democratic state. Illinois, the home state of Barack Obama, will also be likely on this electoral map, as well as the state of Virginia, which is also a new change. Virginia also seems to be trending upwards for Joe Biden, which is why they have moved the state of Virginia into the likely Biden column as well. Most of the Northeast will also go to Joe Biden, the typical northeastern states that always vote Democratic, along with the state of New York. The Maine at large and Maine's first district vote will all be solid for Joe Biden. So Joe Biden's solid states will give him a total of 212 electoral votes. Now, for President Trump, he also has a very large amount of likely states. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, of course, are likely for the Republicans. The both Dakotas are also going to be likely for the president. Nebraska's at-large first and third district vote will all be likely for Donald Trump. Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, most of the Deep South will, of course, also definitely be likely Republican. And the state of Alaska will also be in this category as well. So with the likely states filled in, Donald Trump trails Joe Biden with 125 electoral votes to Joe Biden with 212. Now, taking a look at the lean states, some lean states are quite surprising to see that they classify these states as a lean state. The most surprising, in my opinion, is the state of Pennsylvania. They put Wisconsin in the toss-up column, which we will categorize in just a few moments. But Pennsylvania they put into the lean Biden column, while they put the state of Wisconsin in the toss-up column. I think this is pretty surprising because as of right now, Joe Biden is expected to perform better in the state of Pennsylvania than the state of Wisconsin. This was not the case just a couple of months ago. However, now Joe Biden's numbers have fallen quite a bit in the state of Pennsylvania. He is expected to do better in Wisconsin, a state in which his poll numbers are rising in. So Pennsylvania is a lean state on this map. Michigan is also a lean state. Of course, Michigan at this point, although it did go to Trump in 2016, a state that he flipped very surprisingly for the first time in decades, Michigan basically for the entire duration of the 2020 race has been expected to go to Joe Biden. Donald Trump has never gotten close to leading over Biden in the polls here, and Biden is almost definitely going to carry the state of Michigan at this point. So instead of Donald Trump trying to retain the state, he should try to work on defending some other states that he won, especially the state of Pennsylvania, which I think is the most vulnerable for Joe Biden right now. The state of Minnesota is also going to be in the lean column for Joe Biden. This state was expected to flip, not expected to, but a lot of people were speculating that it could definitely possibly flip in 2020 just because of a couple of not so great polls for the former vice president out of the state of Minnesota. However, since then, Biden has been doing very well. In the latest three polls, I believe Joe Biden has been leading in 9% in all three of them. So that is very good for Joe Biden, and a sign that Joe Biden's lead is coming back in the state of Minnesota. He did lose a very large chunk of his support after the RNC. However, since then, at the beginning of September, his numbers do seem to have come back up in the state of Minnesota. and the state of Nevada will also be put into the lean bottom column. Now, Nevada was not as solid for Hillary Clinton as it was for Barack Obama both times. In 2016, Hillary Clinton only carried the state by 2.4%, and this was even good for her because she was expected to lose the state on election night. She was polling behind Donald Trump in Nevada. To put this into context, Hillary Clinton was polling better in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, all three states that she lost, than the state of Nevada. And Nevada, but this time around, is much better for Joe Biden than it was for Clinton 4 years ago. A lot more voters from here are definitely going to turn out for the former vice president, and they are going to vote for Joe Biden, in my opinion, so that puts them up at 264 electoral votes. And the final lean Biden state is the state of New Hampshire. 3 or 4 electoral votes. This state is not as close as it was in 2016. I don't think the state of New Hampshire is going to be even near the margins it had for Hillary Clinton in 2016. She won this state by 0.4% 4 years ago. Now Joe Biden leads by over 8-9% in this state. So New Hampshire is definitely going to be a lot safer than it was in 2016 for the Democratic Party. And following this, the states of Iowa and Texas are the two lean Republican states. Not too much of a surprise. I think that the 4 toss-up states that are expected to go to Donald Trump at this point are Ohio, Iowa, Texas, and Georgia. These states all went to Trump by pretty good margins in 2016, but are now very close, a swing of around 6 to 8% in favor of Joe Biden from Hillary Clinton's 2016 margins in these 4 states. Iowa, Trump won by 9.1%, Ohio, he won by 8%, Georgia around 5%, Texas around 8% as well, and now these are all very close races in these 4 states, which is definitely not a good sign for Trump. However, it's a winner-takes-all system, so he is still expected to win all of these states' electoral votes. So the rest of these states are the toss-up states, and Donald Trump now has 169 electoral votes from his likely and lean states to Joe Biden with 268. Joe Biden is now only 2 electoral votes away from hitting 270 with just his likely and lean states according to the NPR forecast. If he were to win the 2nd District of Nebraska and Maine, then he would win the election with 270 electoral votes exactly. So these here are the toss-up states on this map. States of Arizona, Wisconsin, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Maine. So these states I think are pretty close right now, but I think definitely some races can be given to some candidates. So I am going to fill in these states just so that we can have a final number up top. So the state of Arizona I'm going to put into the tilt Biden column. So I'm just going to be using the next color down from lean, which is going to be this color. I'm just going to name it tilt because it's a toss-up state. So Arizona I'm going to give to Joe Biden just because I think that he is doing pretty well in the state. He has peaked here just a couple of days ago. He led by 5%. I'm pretty sure the numbers have dropped down just a tiny bit since then, but his numbers have never been higher than it is now. Even when he peaked in most states in the summer, he did not peak in Arizona. I think that the comments that Trump has made on the military, and especially his constant attacks on John McCain, even when he was alive, are definitely hurting him in this state. And Mark Kelly leading by over 10% over Martha McSally here in the Arizona Senate race is definitely not helping Trump's cause in the state of Arizona. The state of Wisconsin, I'm also going to put in the Biden column. I think Wisconsin honestly should go to Joe Biden with a larger margin than Pennsylvania at this point. Wisconsin is polling pretty well for Joe Biden, right behind Michigan, sometimes even higher than Michigan now, but the state of Wisconsin has become more and more blue as the race continues. So Wisconsin, that's going to be put into the Biden column, and of course Joe Biden has crossed the 270 mark even without Wisconsin. Arizona did put him over 270 electoral votes. He now sits at 289, so yes, he would still win the election on this forecast. And I'm going to go through the 2 districts that are swing or toss-up districts right now just to get them out of the way. So the 2nd District of Nebraska I am going to give to Joe Biden. He leads by around 7 to 8%, so it's going to be a likely state based on the polls in the 2nd District of Nebraska. It's about a 9% point swing in favor of the Democratic Party here. Trump won the 2nd district by 2% in 2016. This is the Omaha region. This is the most urban area in the state of Nebraska, which is why it's so small, but has a pretty large chunk of the population of Nebraska in its 2nd district. But the 2nd district of Nebraska, I do think is going to flip and give Joe Biden one more electoral vote. The state of Maine, I also think is going to flip as well. The 2nd district here as well. I think that the 2nd district of Maine has definitely become a little bit better for Joe Biden. Trump was actually leading here just a couple of months ago, even when Biden peaked in the summer. However, now Joe Biden has to regain the lead here, and he is currently expected to carry the 2nd district of Maine. We have 4 more states. These are, in my opinion, going to be the 4 closest states in the 2020 presidential election. But Ohio, I am going to give to Donald Trump. I think that although Ohio is almost definitely going to be a tilt state, I don't see it moving into the leading column for Donald Trump. I think that the state of Ohio is still going to be very close, and Joe Biden's going to very narrowly lose this state just because it went to Trump by 8% in 2016. It did go to Barack Obama and his running mate Joe Biden in 2008 and 2012, but the demographics here have really shifted along with most of the Rust Belt. They are trending in a more conservative path. However, because of Trump's unpopularity, Joe Biden is doing very well in this area. Following that, I want to talk about North Carolina. Last, I'm going to talk about the state of Georgia now. So the state of Georgia, 16 electoral votes, very important to Trump's re-election hopes. If he were to be able to flip from these other states, Georgia would have to go to Trump if he wants to win the election. So the state of Georgia, I think, is also going to stay in the Trump column this time around. I think that in 2024 is definitely going to be one of the most competitive states, with just a lot of the Atlanta voters leaning towards the Democratic Party. The state of Georgia is not as solid for the Republicans as it once was. It has never gone to a Democrat since 1996, and I think that this streak is going to continue past 2020 just because of the voter suppression that occurs so much here in the South. I think that just because of that and the tactics that the Republicans are deploying, especially with their hijacking of the postal service, I think that the Democrats are not going to have a victory in the state of Georgia. And the state of Florida, 29 electoral votes. This state used to be pretty solid for Joe Biden. At one point, this was a likely state. At one point, Joe Biden was doing better in this state than he is doing now in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, or Arizona, or even Nevada or New Hampshire. He was leading by almost 8% in the state of Florida, according to 538. That's 29 electoral votes, and one of the closest states in every single election. Barack Obama barely carried victories in the state in 2008 and 2012. Al Gore lost his state by 537 votes, just 537 in 2000. Hillary Clinton lost his state by 1.2% 4 years ago, so Florida's always very close. Joe Biden did have a very staggeringly large lead just a couple of months ago. However, now this lead has diminished. He now only leads by around 3 to 4% on average. So this is definitely a step down for Biden, but I do think that he's still going to be able to carry the state of Florida by a very narrow margin. Definitely going to be a tilt state at this point. Michael Bloomberg is investing $100 million into ad buys for the Biden campaign in this state, and I think that is definitely going to help him maintain his lead that he currently has here in the state of Florida. So Florida, I'm going to put into the Biden column, putting him up at 320 electoral votes. Now, the state of North Carolina, I am honestly pretty divided on. The early voting has started in North Carolina, but just because of the voter suppression that I talked about just a couple of moments earlier, the state of North Carolina is deploying voter suppression tactics and rejecting a lot, disproportionately rejecting ballots from African Americans than, I guess, white people from the state of North Carolina. There's an article on 538 about this. I think it's the headlining article right now, so you want to check that out for yourself. But the state of North Carolina really is not too important for Joe Biden, because I think that out of all of these swing states, North Carolina is the last one that is going to go to Joe Biden. I did say that North Carolina is going to go to Joe Biden, and honestly, I think that if every vote was counted fairly, I do think that Joe Biden will win this state. But just because of all of the rejections for votes from African Americans that have an almost 95% chance of voting for Joe Biden, that is definitely hurting his campaign here in North Carolina. I think that if he were to win, he would win by a tilt margin if every vote was counted. But because of these tactics, I am not too sure about this right now. I'm going to continue to put it into the Biden column because I do think that a lot of people from North Carolina are going to come out for him just for the possibility that Joe Biden is going to flip this state. Trump is not popular here, and the Republican Tom Tillis is expected to lose his Senate race here to Cal Cunningham. So I'm going to put the state of North Carolina into the Biden column for now. However, in the next couple of days, I think my projection here might change. I'm going to try to talk about this in a video, just the voter suppression that is going to occur in the South and how it is going to affect the race in the two crucial states in North Carolina, as well as the state of Georgia, which is also in the deep South, where voter suppression was also used quite a bit, especially in the 2018 Senate race where Stacey Abrams lost her election. And so that is it for this video. The NPR forecast shows that Joe Biden will win, not with 335. This is just my classifications, but according to the forecast itself, Joe Biden would win 268 electoral votes to Donald Trump with 169 and 101 electoral votes worth of toss-up states. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like down below as well as subscribing to my channel. I would really appreciate that. Leave your thoughts in the comments below along with video suggestions for videos you'd like to see from me in the future, and I will see you in the next video.